What is going on, guys? What is going on, 27 squad? Welcome back to another video. Now, every year I usually do what if Kid Blue was the GM for the New York Giants, and I kind of determine my own 53-man roster. And every year I always make it, what I would do mixed in what I think the GM would do and kind of put it together. And that's exactly what I did here today. So I know it's a little late. I apologize, guys. I recorded this before and I had to re-record it. So sorry about that, guys, that it's late. But let's get right into this video. Before I start off, make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you guys subscribe to join the 27 squad. And make sure you guys tune in every single Tuesday, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time for KB Sports Talk Live. I'll also be live for the last preseason game against the New England Patriots. So make sure you guys tune in right here on this channel for that. So obviously we're going to start off with the quarterbacks. Now the Giants right now have 4 quarterbacks on the roster, but we have to only keep 3. So obviously our 1 and 2 is going to be Eli Manning and Daniel Jones. Now the big question is who is going to be that third quarterback. Now in this case, the talent really doesn't matter. Who played better in the preseason really doesn't matter, because if you ask me, Kyle Oleta would be the guy I would probably bring on, but it's not about who's the better quarterback, because the third quarterback spot is not going to be competing for the starter. Daniel Jones is going to be the starter. It's about who can help Daniel Jones be the best quarterback he can be in the future. And to me, the only choice is Alex Tanney. He's been in the league how many years now? He has the veteran experience. That's just something that Kyle Oleta cannot provide. And it's not like Daniel Jones is going to be intimidated by Kyle Oleta or Alex Tanney as taking his job. So in this case, it really doesn't matter who's the best quarterback, but who provides the veteran experience to help the other quarterback, Daniel Jones, grow. So we're going to be keeping 3 quarterbacks. That's Eli Manning, Daniel Jones, and Alex Tanney. Next up, we have the running backs. Now this took me a while who's going to be the running backs on this roster. As you guys know, we have a couple of decent running backs on this roster, and I think the big competition is between Wayne Gallman and Paul Perkins. So let's get right into it. Now the 4 running backs I'm going to have on this roster are Saquon Barkley, Wayne Gallman, Rod Smith, and Eli Penny. Now the odd men out are Paul Perkins and Jonathan Hillman. Jonathan Hillman could easily make this practice squad, but Paul Perkins, to me, yes, he's played well in practice. He had a couple of good plays in preseason. He just doesn't provide much as a running back. To me, he is just a receiving back. What can Paul Perkins do that Wayne Gallman can't? Now, the only reason why we haven't seen too much of Wayne Gallman in this preseason is because he has been injured, but he's back healthy now. This last preseason game, he was a lot better, played a lot better than Paul Perkins did, and that being said, I have to have Wayne Gallman on this roster. He's just a lot better than Paul Perkins is. Now, moving on, we have the wide receivers. Now, this is the most interesting position on the roster besides cornerbacks of who is going to make this roster. As you guys know, Golden Tate is serving a 4-game suspension, so we're going to have an extra roster spot to work with, as he is not going to be a part of the first 53-man roster that on day 1, the day 1 53-man roster, I guess you could say. So we have an extra roster space. So let's go on. I'm going to keep 6 wide receivers on this roster. That's Sterling Shepard, Benny Fowler, Cody Latimer, Russell Shepard, Darius Slayton, and TJ Jones. Now, Reggie White, Alex Wesley really impressed me as undrafted free agent rookies. Alex Wesley has been hurt for most of the preseason, but in practice and in the short time he's played in the preseason, he's played well. Reggie White has been a star in the preseason for the Giants, but I just don't think they've done enough to crack this roster. It's really sad to see when you have to cut good talent, but that's just the best position you want to be in as a GM. Reggie White can make this practice squad. I don't know if Alex Wesley is going to make it, just because we haven't seen too much of him, but Reggie White should have a spot on the practice roster. Now, Britton Golden is a name that everybody's throwing around. I know he played phenomenal in the preseason. He played great, and he provides something on special teams as a punt returner. Like I said, I just can't see him cracking this roster. TJ Jones played better than him. Russell Shepard hasn't played better than him in this preseason, but we know Russell Shepard is a better receiver than Britton Golden is, and obviously we can go up the depth chart. Everybody just seems like a better player than Britton Golden is. So now we move on to the tight ends. Now, this is kind of interesting. This might be a hot take here, but I think the Giants are going to keep 4 tight ends on the roster. I know we haven't seen too much of CJ Conrad, but I just think there's too much potential there to let him go or even put him on the practice squad. I think we need to utilize CJ Conrad. I think he's better than Scott Simonson has. He's proved that in the preseason. He hasn't dropped anything. If he did drop one, he probably dropped 1 or 2 passes, but Scott Simonson has not been looking good in the preseason right now, and it seems like CJ Conrad is really elevating his game over Scott Simonson, but I still think we could utilize Scott Simonson. So I think we're going to keep 4 tight ends on the roster. So that's Evan Ingram, Rhett Ellison, CJ Conrad, and Scott Simonson. Now, Garrett Dickerson has been playing well. When his name has been called, he made a couple of good catches in the preseason. I just don't think he's done enough more than these tight ends have. Now, with the offensive linemen, I'm only going to keep 8 offensive linemen. I know that's pretty interesting. Then why are we only keeping 8 offensive linemen? But I have to take something from one position and add it on to another position. You guys will see that later on. But the thing is, we have a good offensive line now. Now, if injuries happen, we can always have an extra offensive lineman on the practice squad that we go ahead and promote to the active roster. So I think 8 offensive linemen is doable. I know a lot of people say 9 offensive linemen. That's fine, 9 or 10. That I completely agree with you. I just had to take something from one position to add it to another. You guys will see that when we go on to the defense. So let's start off with the tackles. Going to keep 3 tackles on the roster. That's Nate Solder, Mike Remmers, who are starting tackles, and Brian Mihalik. Now, a lot of people think I'm going to keep Chad Wheeler. Chad Wheeler is just not good, guys. Brian Mihalik has been the starting left tackle when Nate Solder wasn't there in OTAs and training camp, and he's been playing well at that left tackle position. So that tells me that he's going to be a good swing tackle for the Giants. Now, George Asafo Ajayi, I want to keep him on there. I really do. He has played not one preseason game. He's been injured the whole entire time. So that being said, the guy, I mean, I don't think he played last preseason game, but he's been injured too long. He's going to be cut. He's going to be put onto the practice roster. And if somebody gets hurt and if he's healthy, we'll just promote onto the active roster. It's just that simple. Next up, we have the guard positions. We're going to keep Will Hernandez and Kevin Zeitler, who are going to be our all-pro guards. So excited about them too. And our backup guard, I'm going to keep Nick Gates. This guy is a borderline versatile offensive lineman player. He's a left tackle. I mean, he's a tackle. He's a guard. So you can put him anywhere. So I like the versatility there. I'm going to keep Nick Gates. And then for the center position, I'm going to keep John Jalapeno and Spencer Pulley. Now, who's going to be the starter? I think it's John Jalapeno. Obviously, Spencer Pulley has been taking the second team reps and depth reps in the preseason so far. So I think John Jalapeno is safe to say that he's going to be the starter. James O'Hagan, we wanted to see more from him. He hasn't been performing in the preseason. He has a couple of penalties as well, and so maybe he's a practice squad player. I don't know. I will be making my practice squad predictions, but we'll see if he makes it on. But those are my 8 offensive linemen. Alright, so now we're moving on to the defensive side of the ball. So we're going to start off with the defensive line. I'm going to keep 6 defensive linemen. And for the outside linebackers, which are our edge rushers, I'm going to keep 5 of those guys. So 11 defensive lineman players. I know that's unheard of in the NFL world, but guys, we have too many talent. Too many talent with not enough. It's not very top heavy. It's all equal, so it's going to add competition to these position groups. So we're going to start off with the defensive end, the 3-4 defensive end position, which in this case where BJ Hill is playing is going to be the 5 technique and the 3 technique. Depends on what package they're in. So for that position, I'm going to keep BJ Hill and RJ McIntosh. Next up, we have the nose tackle position. Now, Dalvin Thomas is going to remain the anchor on that, on the middle of the defense. I think he's going to be our starting nose tackle, obviously. And for our depth nose tackle, I'm going to keep Chris Slayton, the guy we just drafted out of Syracuse this draft. And for the 3 technique defensive end / defensive tackle position, I'm going to keep Dexter Lawrence and Pierre Olsen. Now let's move on to our edge rushers, our strong outside linebackers, our Sam linebackers. I'm going to keep Marcus Golden and Kareem Martin. Avery Moss and Terrence Fetty, these guys, well, Terrence Fetty's been playing very well in the preseason. I just don't think he's going to do enough to crack this roster. Just too much talent on the board. Avery Moss, we tried with him, ever since 2017 when we drafted him. We thought he could be something, and he just hasn't reached that his potential yet. Next up, we have the will linebackers, the weak outside linebackers, and obviously you got to keep your guys Lorenzo Carter and O'Shane Jimenez, the X-Men. They've been playing very well in this preseason. Very excited about those two at the weak side linebacker position. But the one guy I want to add too is Jake Carlock, guys. This is going to be a prize pick. He's my 5th edge rusher that I'm going to add on here. I have to put him on, guys. He provides too much of a spark to this defense. You guys have seen what he's been doing in the preseason and in practice. Jake Carlock used to be a safety. He moved to an edge rusher. That tells you he's good in pass rush, he's good in pass coverage, he's good at batting the ball down, he's good at playing the run, he's good at doing everything. He provides the passion, he provides the grit. You can see how passionate he is on the field. You can see how energetic he is on the field. A lot of the players love him. He's going to provide a spark on that team and on special teams. So to me, you have to have Jake Carlock on this roster. Now the last linebacker group, and that's the Mike linebackers, the inside linebackers. I'm going to have Alec Ogletree. Obviously, he's getting the big bucks, and Ryan Connolly as my 2 base 3-4 inside linebackers. And for the sub linebacker group, the nickel linebackers, I'm going to have Tay Davis there, and then our depth linebacker is going to be B.J. Goodson. That's right, B.J. Goodson, who used to be our starter, is now the last inside linebacker mentioned here on this depth chart. Now, Nate Stupar, Jonathan Anderson, and Josiah Tauefa have all been playing well in this preseason, and yeah, they deserve a roster spot somewhere. There's just too little inside linebacker position spots to go around, so sorry. Next up, we have the cornerback position. Now, I did something interesting with this here. I kept 6 cornerbacks here, but we basically have 7. You'll see what I did here. So, cornerbacks, obviously we have Janoris Jenkins, DeAndre Baker, Grant Haley, Antonio Hamilton, Sam Beal, and Corey Ballentine. This is in no particular order. It could be, Corey Ballentine as the 4th cornerback, 3rd cornerback. Well, you know what I mean, guys. So Sam Beal, I have to have him on this roster. He has too much talent to just let him go. I know he has injury problems, but he has to make this roster. Antonio Hamilton has been playing well in the preseason, really deserves a spot, so I have to give it to him there. A lot of these guys, Ronald Zamore has been playing well as well. He can make this practice squad. But guys like Henry Tolliver and Terrell Singfield has been terrible for us, so ended a line there. Now you can see what I did here with the free safety position. I put Antoine Bethea and Julian Love there. Now, as you guys know, Julian Love was not mentioned with the cornerbacks. He's going to be a free safety, but he's going to be that Tyrann Mathieu of the defense, where you're going to put him at cornerback, you're going to put him at safety, and nobody's going to know what to call him, a cornerback or a safety. People still don't know what to call Tyrann Mathieu, a cornerback or a safety. So, to me, James Betcher's going to do with Julian Love what he did with Tyrann Mathieu. So, free safeties, Antoine Bethea and Julian Love. Our strong safeties are going to be Jabril Peppers and Michael Thomas. I know everybody loves Sean Chandler. I loved him as well coming out of Temple as an undrafted free agent rookie, but he just hasn't put too much into this preseason. He had a couple of good plays, but he got beat a number of times in this preseason. I just don't think it's worth bringing him onto the active roster. And then obviously our last 3 guys, Aldrick Rosas as our kicker, Riley Dixon as our punter, and Zach Diassi as our long snapper, longtime member of the Giants. I think he was added on when Eli Manning was on the team. I believe they're part of the same class there. So that being said, guys, that is my 53-man roster. What did you like about my roster? What didn't you like about my roster? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know what you would have changed up as well, and I will see you guys in the next video.